back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Okay, so Monday mornings, never the greatest day of the week for me. Had a really busy weekend. I've just done the school run, so I'm going to try and get a couple of reviews in before I go to work. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue with my sort of exploration through the zoologist line, and we're going to be looking at one that came out in 2014 called Rhinoceros. This was made by Paul Killer, who also did Panda for Zoologist as well. So he's got a couple of fragrances within the Zoologist lineup, and it's an EDP. So what we'll do, I am wearing it as you would expect. We'll have a little spray now, and then we'll talk about the notes and a little bit about the fragrance itself. So I'm only going to spray a little bit. And this is becoming a bit of a common theme with the zoologist reviews. So there's a couple of sprays there. So, boom, here it comes. Okay. Right, so let's have a quick look at the notes. In the top we have rum, we have bergamot, we have lavender, we have elemi, we have sage, we have amouage and conifer needles. And in the mid we have pine wood, we have tobacco, we have immortelle, we have geranium, we have eggwood or oud, and Chinese cedarwood. And then at the base you have vetiver, you have sandalwood, you have amber, smoke, leather and musks. Now rum and leather I love together, and it's here in a huge amount. This is a big fragrance from Zoologist yet again. Now when I basically going through the Zoologist range, the plan was I'll review as many of them as I could. And then I'd select one to purchase. And that's becoming really difficult, to be honest with you. If I buy more than one, it starts becoming a collection, and then you end up trying to buy all of them, which is going to be, it's just, there's too many for me to own all of them, for sure. But I'm really struggling to pick one that I'd like more than the others. And what the reason I'm mentioning the others is because what I've found with all of them so far, apart from squid, is that they, zoologists pick an animal and then they make a fragrance that's directly related to that animal, whether it be the smell of the animal or what I've found more seems to be the smell of the environment. I mean, like with T-Rex, you've got that sort of prehistoric kind of jungle feel or prehistoric kind of landscape feel, more so than just, what a dinosaur may smell like. And with elephant, I got transported to this steamy Indian jungle, which I thought was utterly intoxicating. And with rhinoceros, they've done exactly the same thing again, but in a really different way, because this is a big hitter. Don't get me wrong. This is a massive scent, huge projection, huge sillage, and real presence. But I thought I was going to be transported to like the savannas and stuff like that, to get this kind of, localized smell of where the rhino may live. And you do, but you go about it in a different way. When you smell the opening on this, I'm instantly reminded of a big leather-bound book. Now, to me, it's almost like I'm in somewhere like the British Library or the Natural History Museum, and I'm researching the rhinoceros. And I've got this big leather-bound book, and you've got this dusty old cover, and as you open it up, you can sort of smell the paper, or the old parchment or paper, and that combined with the leather and this dusty effect is what I'm getting to start off with. As it kind of calms down, which does take quite a while, then you kind of get transported more into this sort of savannah-like environment. It's a really clever fragrance. I know I said that about pretty much every zoologist I reviewed, so I'm desperately trying not to sound like a scratch record, but I have to. It's earthy. The booze is there. The rum is quite potent to start off with. The lavender, the elemi, the sage, conifer needles all kind of give this slightly greenness to it. It's not particularly green fragrance to me. It's very dry. It's a little sweet. It's smooth. When it dries down, you get a creaminess coming, which I'm assuming is the sandalwood doing its job. But again, it's still quite green. There's vetiver there, and I think that gives it the earthiness, maybe. The amber that's in this gives it some warmth. But this all happens over a long period of time. It's, again, and I'm sorry for repetition, but This is so well blended. It's a joy to wear. Again, it's a zoologist one, so it's not going to be for everyone. You really do need to sample this before you buy it. But I think this is a really clever fragrance. I think it's really cute. I love smelling it. It's just beautiful. Now, what I did notice the first couple of times I've worn it, I started to get what I thought was like a rubbery smell. And then I might be wrong, but I'm thinking that that's the agarwood or the oud that's in this, because sometimes oud can come off a little bit like burnt rubber. And you do get a kind of a rubbery note in it, which I really like. It sort of comes in after a couple of hours for me anyway. So I'm kind of looking forward to it when it arrives. And when it does, it's like, here we go, it's rubber time. And it just smells lovely. Everything just knits together so well. And just a quick word, this sample was sent to us by a friend of ours. So I really wanted to say thank you for that. He sent me quite a few zoologists.
Merci beaucoup.
So cheers for that, buddy. We're going to plough through and get them all reviewed eventually. It's just we've got so much going on, which is great. But, you know, we are kind of run off our feet a bit at the moment. So we're trying to get these reviews out as quickly as we can. Obviously, I film them and then Rich edits them and gets them done and then we get them out. So it is a little bit of a longer process than some other people do. But we will be getting them all out. So we've got everyone. I think we've got nearly all of the zoologists now to get reviews out. Obviously, quite a few have gone out already. Rhinoceros I think this is fantastic. I'll be honest with you. I don't know which one now I prefer. I thought in the beginning it was T-Rex because it was such a monstrous perfume and a true masterpiece, wonderful stuff. And then I was thinking maybe I prefer Elephant because it's so much more wearable than T-Rex, but they're both like this. And now Rhinoceros has crept into the mix as well, and that's on that same level. I like squid, don't get me wrong, I really, really do, but it's just not as exciting, I think, as these. And this, you know, Rhinoceros is incredibly exciting. It takes you on a real journey. As I say, you get this kind of like bookish, studious, library-like smell from it, and that is definitely down to the leather. Now, as the fragrance develops, the leather doesn't really change that much. It stays in there all the time. It's always there. So it's an unabashed, proud of its leathery smell. And that in itself probably does remind you more of the animal, because obviously, rhinoceros have got this thick hide that I would imagine is very, very leathery. Not that I've ever stroked one or taken one for a walk or anything like that.
And today we're going to be taking some rhinos for a walk.
Impressive animal and impressive fragrance. There is tobacco in here, and I think the tobacco is used quite cleverly to give a little sweetness. The amber gives a little sweetness, but this is not an overly sweet fragrance at all. It's a dry, dusty fragrance, and I think the smoke in here to me resembles more dust. But again, because it's one of these quite clever bits of work, I don't know whether the backstory and this sort of heat and savannah and massive animal, I totally buy into all that, and I read it and I kind of think, okay, right, let's try and find it, and then I'm looking for it, so I find it. So I'll be interested to see someone hear from someone that sampled rhinoceros without reading all that, and whether their take on it is the same as mine, because I'm a strong believer that a story or a backstory to a fragrance does affect how it's interpreted, and I'm certainly guilty of reading that and then smelling it and then trying to marry it together, and I'm doing that without even wanting to do that. It's just how my brain works and how I process things. But I'm getting this beast in the savannah, but not to start off with. As I said, I get this kind of dusty library vibe from it, and then it slowly takes you out there to the savannah and lets the animal kind of roam around, and as it kicks up the dust and all the the things it tramples on its wandering and meandering around, then I'm starting to pick up all these other smells, and it puts me there. But yeah, with regards to the smoke, I get more of a dusty smell to it than a smoky one. But listen, this is so good. This is so good. I think Paul Killer has done a fantastic job there. And again, what I love about the Zoologist line, and I really have to give them more applause, is a small independent house in Canada is knocking out these really, really interesting fragrances. you know, for any perfumer, it would be quite easy to knock out something that's going to be really citrusy and woody, that is mass appealing and everyone's going to love. Let's chuck a load of aldehydes in there. Let's make it mass appealing. And they're not doing that. They're making really, really creative, interesting, niche fragrances. They're not cheap, but by crikey, they're worth it. As I say, at some point I'm going to buy one and I'll come back and make a video about which one I've picked and why. But to be honest, I've still got a lot more to sample and a lot more to review, so I'm nowhere near finding out which one I'm going to buy. But it's a heck of a journey and one I'm really, really enjoying. So listen, thank you very much for your time. I know this one I've kind of sort of raved about it a bit, but I have to, because it's a really, really good fragrance. It's a perfume that I think anyone with slightly sort of broad horizons would love to own. Really, really strongly recommend that you sample this. Have a go at it and let us know how you get on. But it's a really, really interesting fragrance. So listen, thank you very much for your time. We'll be back as soon as we can with more reviews, and I look forward to speaking to you then. Cheers. Bye.